Hello and welcome back to another podcast. My name is Sawera Ahmed and I am a trainee sports journalist at Pulse Social. Today's guest is Sonny Kurmi, who is the principal and owner of SK World Solutions. Sonny is here today to discuss how running helps with mental health and why he thinks exercise is important. Hello Sonny.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for asking.
I first want to say thank you for being on our podcast today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So can you just start off by introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. So me, I live in Hertfordshire. I'm a chartered financial advisor. So I help individuals and businesses to be less scared and more in control of their financial future. Um, I'd say my hobby, or what I do to keep active, is I quite enjoy running. And I have been running probably on and off from the age of around 16. So yeah, around about 15 years, been on and off running. That's a little bit about me.
Thank you for that. So, upon mentioning that you work in finance and that you also have a hobby of running, what is your everyday schedule like?
Yeah, great question. What is my everyday schedule like? It varies, I have to admit. Some days I start work at 6:30 and probably don't finish till early evening. Other days, it's a little bit less meeting focused. So I've got a little bit more time to do my hobbies. But um, how I think running and my work schedule kind of blend in, because I think that's probably the better word than a balance here. The way they blend is, um, I would normally typically go to the gym early morning. So, for example, I'd only go at 6 in the morning. It doesn't fit in with my work schedule any other time. However, with running, that would always go in the evenings. So that's always after work. Now, I am part of a running club, so it does help that I know on a Tuesday and I know on the Thursday at 7 o'clock or 7:15 to about 8:15, quarter past quarter past eight, 8:30. That's where the running club is. If I'm unable to make that just due to work, I then will go maybe on one day on the weekend, and I'll try and get a weekday out as well. So again, I look at it as, it's not strict, it's not rigid. I know what I'm trying to achieve in the week, and it's just trying to do that at the earliest convenient time I possibly can. And of course, it's a lot easier in the summer than it is in the winter.
Of course, especially, for example, looking at this week when we
Yeah,
experienced the heat wave, it must have been a lot more difficult.
it definitely has been difficult. I mean, I went out yesterday and I thought, um, God, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. It was, yeah. I think maybe the running club was a bit too full on, especially in this heat. But look, it was great. It was definitely great, especially when you're warming down. It's brilliant being outside in nature. I can't run on treadmills. I can't run anywhere that I'm not actually technically moving. I like to see kind of like the trees go kind of past me. I think there's actually a scientific reasons of the benefits of actually running in nature and watching things go past you in your peripheral. I think it kind of, I think I was reading an article and it said something along the lines that it kind of resets your um your nervous system or something. Again, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. It definitely helps me mentally, and that's probably one of the reasons why I do it quite consistently, I'd say.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, I know you've briefly mentioned it here and there, but when did you first pick up an interest in running and what was your motivation behind this?
Yeah, so so when did I first pick up the interest of running? I don't think I ever really picked it up. I mean, at school I wasn't physically active. I would say I hated running at school with a passion. So yeah, it's probably one of those kids. But my father quite liked running, and he would religiously do between 5 to 12.5 miles a day, quite easy. Um, and at the age of 16, I started off, running with him, and I kind of got into a routine of, you know, the benefits. But for me, yeah, you got the physical benefit. Of course, you've got that. But for me, it was that mental benefit that I found. Oh, this feels nice. After you start running, you've accomplished something. You've kind of pushed yourself. Your heart rate's up, and you're feeling good about yourself. And that's kind of where I probably picked it up. Not wanting to though. So this was an accident. Um, I've then obviously just carried on throughout life, and then whilst traveling and living in different countries for work reasons, the one thing that I kind of kept was the feeling of after a run. So because I work in finance, there's a lot to it. So there could be either numbers, conversations, networking, telephone calls, different complex kind of structures that you're trying to get your head around, making sure it's right for the client. So there's a lot of like brain activity. And sometimes what I wanted to do is just put headphones in and just run, and watch the world go by. And it was kind of like my switch off, because I find it hard to switch off. So in terms of the motivation, I think, um, you know, trying to be in a good kind of physical, um, state, body shape, whatever it may be. But I think more so for me, the biggest motivation is definitely mentally. Definitely, for me, it's a game changer. I can tell how my kind of mental health is if I don't run for, say, example, 3 weeks. I start getting into that kind of little bit of that rut, but I know it. I can identify it. I know how to come back out of it. So, and that again is taking me years to try and understand me, understand what works, what doesn't work, what I enjoy doing. And also it kind of helps that I kind of put myself through challenges to like half marathons about 3 or 4 years. So I've always got something to work towards. So it makes it just a little bit easier that there's a reason why I'm doing it. And I do that by purpose to keep me on track.
Yeah, that of course makes sense. It's more about pushing yourself.
Yeah.
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 How would you say being part of the running club has helped you?
They are athletes, and I'm definitely not. I'd say it's probably the first one. They are, religiously there for, you know, years. They're way better than myself. They teach me how to kind of, the posture, the breathing, how to become a better runner while using less energy. um I've applied to do a full marathon. I've never done it, but I know that my running club has the people, the skill set, the knowledge to help me achieve what I'm wanting to achieve. So I feel comfortable that I've got a solid team. Yeah, a solid team around me. And I think that goes with any sport, really. Especially if it's a team sport. But I mean, I don't know, running isn't really, I'd say, a team sport, but you can make it into a team sport. You have people around you that probably have the same hobbies in this case, or motivations again. Yeah, probably. And it just helps that you can kind of lean on one another, and you kind of hold each other up accountable. And when you're not feeling it, because there'll be times where you're not feeling it, it's okay. You got someone around there that puts their hand around your shoulder, whatever it may be, and just say, look, it's okay. We have these days, and that's good. That's nice to have that support network.
Of course, and it definitely that must make it easier every day being part of that.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. There's even like a forum where you have like socials and people just talking, naturally, and that's good. I mean, the gym helps as well. They're quite similar. So I've built up a good set of people, acquaintances, friends, should I say, that I see, at least 3 times a week at 5:55. They're the same people that do that, and they're the same group of people, and yeah, you get to know them. I mean, yeah, probably digressing here. However, but the gym part, if I didn't go to the gym and do the classes at 5:55, I wouldn't have met the people I've met now, who I now can kind of call up. We've got a walking group that was formed from simply we all go into the same gym at 5:55, and then it's expanded now, so that's quite cool. We've already gone away on a hiking trip. So went to Lake District last year, and that was literally after 6 months of knowing each other, and it kind of strengthens that relationship again. Same sort of thing. Okay, fine. You know, it may not be a direct sports, but it's still that kind of um, the support network. You're still trying to achieve a goal. It's still physical, um, and the effects is obviously everlasting. Hopefully,
Of course. Can you talk more about the Lake District trip and what happened and the
yeah,
physical parts of that?
it was hard. It was very tough. Um, How did I get into climbing Havelen or Havelen? Um, I was actually, yeah, like I said, it started at the gym. I was doing hit classes as a group of 20 people. That's the maximum you can have. This guy approached me while in a jacuzzi, which is quite funny. Um, and we kind of, he was one of my partners for the last kind of like 3 weeks at the hit session. Says, "Do you want to climb a mountain?" I said yes. And then he put me on a group, a couple of other people. I think it was about 15 to 18 other people, which was great. So we started to do walking. So when you start to like, you know, train for the hike, um, I I dragged along my partner at the time. Um, and I kind of knew that, okay, well, what I might do is combine what my next step of my life is to hiking a mountain up into the clouds, which is going to be very difficult. So I combined them, and what I did, I we practiced walking. We went up this mountain, which yeah, it took us. I think all in all, I think it took us around 6.5 hours with a backpack on your back, and that was difficult. But it was good because some people were faster. The fast people would then slow down, and then we're kind of just talking, and we're changing the the different mini groups that we've had. So you know, the slower ones, some of the faster ones would slow down by purpose to push up the slower ones. The people in the middle would go a little bit faster, a little bit slower. And what was happening basically, it was like a big long family discussion. That's the best way I can explain it, because you got to speak to every single individual and just getting to know them a little bit more. And it's fascinating when you're climbing, and then you have you know, you have a break, you take a picture, and you're all kind of smiling, you're all kind of aching. And at the top of the mountain, I actually proposed. So there was a reason why I did it. And that was my motivation. I was panicking all the way up. So to be honest, my adrenaline was so high. I yeah, it went quite quick. So all I knew how I was feeling ultimately, but obviously no one was none the wiser. So that was quite cool. And bear in mind, there are people there that are completely random to me. And then yeah, you know, they gave us you know, champagne and you know, can't remember what else, a banner or whatever it was, but that was quite cool. Bear in mind, I've never met some of these people, but some of them obviously I have, and built that relationship again, all from the gym.
Yeah, so you can definitely say that having a motivation behind helps a lot. So if you have a strong
Yeah.
mindset, we definitely would.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, there was a leader, and he kind of led the group. No matter how fast or slow someone was, you know, it was he was there for you. He was, you know, encouraging you, because it is hard. We didn't. We stopped probably for what, 3 photos potentially, I'd say. But other than that, we kept on going, and it was tough. I have to admit, the first 20, 30 minutes of hiking, yeah, I can say I could have easily stopped. Yeah, that part was not enjoyable, but looking back at it, yeah, we carried on, and I think having that that support network, conversations, um, definitely kind of sidetracks you a little bit, but then you're still achieving what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, you definitely do have to make it a fun experience. While
Mm.
obviously it is difficult in another time, but making a fun experience makes it memorable. So I think
Oh,
that was
of
awesome.
course. Yeah, no, definitely. It's a lot easier to do exercise or any kind of, hobbies, physical activities, sports when you're having fun. Because then it doesn't seem so strenuous, so to speak.
Of course. So I think you can definitely say this one is your biggest achievement, but are there any other achievements that you've accomplished during running?
Um, yes, tubes. I mean, I've probably got about, I'd say two. If I look back, I mean, I started to do the races. I used to live and work in Switzerland, in Geneva. So I did my first ever half a marathon, in 2018. Um, I think it was the 5th of May, 2018, actually. It's a Sunday, I believe. But yeah, so that was probably one of my biggest, achievements. But then um, getting and running under 2 hours, I did 1 hour 57 minutes, half a marathon, which for me was, probably my biggest compliment within running. But my next one's going to be doing a full marathon. So I haven't done one yet. Um, I'm trying to hopefully get into London next year. And if I don't, then it's going to have to be Copenhagen or Paris. And then that will obviously, when I complete that, um, that will be my biggest achievement.
How has it been preparing for that?
Difficult because it's not set in stone at the moment. It's a bit of a loose end. I'm not sure if I've got it or I've not got in. So I haven't actually got a deadline, so to speak, or something I'm kind of training towards or aiming towards. And my mindset works just like, my job ultimately is trying to help people, achieve their goals or at least one step closer. I kind of use the same approach to and for myself. And that's why I have to have certain things in the diary where I know I'm running for something or trying to achieve something. So there's a reason, and that keeps my motivation high. Without that end goal, you can get into a spiral, unfortunately, and that part can be quite hard. But because I've been through the spiral so many times, I kind of know what I need to do to get back out of it, and it gets quicker every time. So at the moment, yeah, the preparations, I'm slow and steady. I've got another half coming up, I believe. I think it will be the 5th of November. Yes, and that will be for a local hospice. And yeah, I signed up on Wednesday this week, actually. I went to an event and they asked me, "Yeah, you enjoy running? Can you run for us?" And I try and do normally a charity, sponsors year on, year off. This year is technically off, but this one off course, I'll run for them and try and raise some money. So yeah, and that's the other part of my running part. I do it always for charity. There's not normally there used to be three, but now there's only two that I do it for.
Yeah, good luck with that, of course.
Thank you so much.
So what advice would you give to someone on how to balance their work life whilst also wanting to take part in something active?
Yeah. Okay. What advice would I give to someone? Um, One, I think again I've recently learned this, but rather than looking at work life balance or life work balance, because balance means that you're going to have to give on one area to get more, receive more on the other. But changing that mindset, because mindset's probably the biggest thing here. If looking at work life blend or life work blend, it's a better way of actually preparing. And the reason why I say that is because if you've got, you know, running, you play football, play rugby, basketball, whatever it may be, whatever sport or hobbies that you enjoy, whether it be when you're younger, you still do it now, or that you're wanting to do, and you feel that you don't have the time. I think the most important thing is take the first step. Take the first step. And whether that be, if you can't do it in a weekday, do it over the weekend. If you can't do it on a weekend because you've got young children potentially, um, you know, there will be a time. Maybe wake up that half an hour early. Okay, fine. You're not a morning person. Fine, do it in the evening. You'll always be able to find a little bit of time. You don't need to go full force. I think also if you were to kind of register to become part of a club, you've got that accountability, because sometimes that's the hardest part as well, is having someone there to say, oh, um, you come in today or whatever it may be after you've gone to your first session. So I think try and do things that work around you, but also look at your energy. So I'm quite energetic, especially in the after woken up about an hour later, that's when my energy kicks in, and I'm a fairly strong extrovert. I get my energy of other people, hence why I do what I do for a living, hence why I'm part of a running club, because running can be quite lonely. But yeah, I think signing up to a club definitely helps with the same kind of goals or hobbies. Um, that help with like the motivation. Try and find the time based on your energy levels, and it doesn't become such a chore. So, like I said, I go gym in the morning, but I won't ever really run in the mornings. I will, unless I'm racing. I normally run in the evenings, because that's when I find it my best, because I use it for dual purposes. Um, what else would there be? Yeah, and then take the first step. The first step is always the hardest. It's always the hardest, taking the first step. But yeah, once you get into a pattern or routine, try and stick to it. Um, Life obviously throws some curveballs, and it's sometimes very hard to stick to routines, and it can be easily broken. But to then understand that's okay, that will happen. That's absolutely normal. But what is it that's going to get you back on that bandwagon? To understand that, and then once you keep going through the loops, you'll become better and better at it. But like I said, the reason why I do it is for dual purposes, physical and mental health. And that's what keeps my that's my why. That's why I run.
Of course. So you mentioned, for example, life throwing stuff at us. So the most obviously one was COVID.
Hmm.
Did COVID affect your running and gym schedule in any way?
Yes, it completely destroyed gym, completely destroyed that. So yeah, I started to put on weight. Um, I became, lazy, if I was to be brutally honest. My eating patterns probably weren't the greatest. Um, yeah, it completely threw me. And yeah, looking back at it, could I done things differently? 100%. 100%. Did I go out as for runs as much as I should have? Definitely not. Could have done a lot better? 100%. But I know this. I analyzed it. I understood what went wrong, why it went wrong. And sometimes it's hard because you can get comfortable. I mean, yeah, you can get comfortable with and complacent with life, and then before you know, it's like Groundhog Day. You're doing the same thing every day, again and again and again, and you can't break it. Um, and it does happen to the best of us. But yeah, no, COVID did throw a spanner in the works. But then yeah, I started to get up running again. Um, and that was probably more towards the end of COVID. So my running schedule wasn't as I wasn't consistent, shall I say, as I am, for example, now. I'm fairly consistent. Um, Unless I go away on holiday, then I'm probably not consistent. But that's okay. You got to enjoy it, and it's not a chore. It's a hobby that has benefits.
Yeah, thank you for that. I know everyone will appreciate the advice you've given.
No, thank you again for the opportunity. Yeah, no, hopefully it helps. I mean, this is only my opinion, my views, my experiences, and no doubt everyone else will be very, very different to me. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. Sports obviously is more your mindset.
Mm,
So having a strong mindset within yourself will definitely help, like you said.
yeah, that's where I think it starts. It definitely starts in mindset. Definitely starts in mindset. I mean, for example, the time maybe one spends on social media, if you were to see kind of like, your screen time, and you were to convert that into minutes, hours, whatever, I mean, I think people would be quite surprised. Before I met my partner, I never used to watch TV. now watch TV, but I only will only watch factual stuff or documentaries, so to speak. So that's educational. Um, yeah, so I'd rather use the time, doing being outside, doing what I enjoy the most. My job enables me to be outside every day, which is brilliant. Hence why I love what I do. So yeah, I've kind of found kind of my happiness, my inner peace, and I know enough about me as an individual to then make the what I feel is the right decisions, whatever right means for the future. Yeah.
Of course. Thank you today for being on the podcast. Yeah, it's been
Thank you
great
again.
hearing. Yeah, no worries. It's been great hearing your story, your motivation, and definitely I think you've given inspiration to everyone.
Yes, perfect. Hopefully, yeah. I mean, if someone could take even one thing away from it, that'd be great. But yeah, biggest tip would definitely be take the first step. That's the hardest.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.